This is Dominic Knight here, aka Adventures by Night. You're listening to Trailhead Podcast.
In this episode, we sat down with Dominic Knight, a true Jeep aficionado who's been putting in the hard work on his 2018 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon, transforming it into a formidable trail machine with some serious upgrades. We dive into the story behind his build. Dom talks us through the choices he made, from 40-inch tires to beefy aftermarket axles, and why he's sometimes cautious about pushing his rig to its absolute limits. Dom's approach to off-roading is a blend of passion, precision, and a little bit of caution, making his insights valuable for anyone looking to up their game out on the trails. He shares how he draws inspiration from fellow off-roaders and his favorite Jeep builds, along with the satisfaction that comes from conquering tough terrain. We also get a peek into Dom's favorite wheeling spots and trails that are still on his bucket list. So whether you're a seasoned off-roader or just starting your journey, Dom's story is sure to resonate, offering both practical advice and a glimpse into the mindset of someone who's not just building a Jeep, but living his life around it. So sit back and listen in as we explore what makes Dom's Jeep build and his off-roading philosophy unique. Hello, trailheads, and welcome to the Trailhead. Before the trails start today, we need to have a short safety meeting. Off-roading is an exhilarating but inherently risky sport. The insights and opinions that are shared by our hosts and any experts or guests on the podcast are intended to inform and inspire, not replace professional guidance. The Trailhead guests, partners, and any sponsors are not liable for any actions that you take based on what you hear. It is your responsibility to seek professional advice and make informed decisions, especially when attempting potentially dangerous activities. Always check current trail conditions and comply with local laws and regulations. Off-roading requires careful preparation and respect for safety, so ensure that you're well prepared before hitting the trails. And now that that's out of the way, buckle up and let the stories begin.
Welcome to the Trailhead, where trails start and stories unfold.
One, two, three.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Now here's JD.
Welcome to the Trailhead. How you guys doing?
Hey.
What up?
All right. What is up? We got on the host team, that's just me and Ryan tonight. Ryan, how you doing?
Oh boy, we're in trouble now.
I know it's I am.
No
I'm a little
supervision,
concerned when
no
it's just
nothing.
us. Yeah. I feel like Pope. If it was Pope, he'd be pulling us in the worst direction, and if it were like Alyssa, she'd probably be pulling us in the more wholesome direction. So it's more of a chaos factor when it's just the two of us.
Just all up in the air at this point in time. So
That's all right. I'm okay with it. Cool. All right. With us today is Dominic Knight, also known as Adventures by Night on Instagram. How you doing, Dom?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. It's been a good day thus far, so working everything was good. How are you guys doing?
Doing all right. And you can always complain. It's a matter of whether anybody's going to listen to you.
Nah, nothing to really complain about. Jeep's in the shop, so I mean, other than that, it's good.
Oh, that's not a good thing. Is that? Well, I think that is this planned maintenance or is this unplanned maintenance? Because we usually do like a roundtable at the beginning to find out if anybody has a Jeep down. So, congratulations, you win this week.
Yep. So AC decided to leave the chat, and out here in Arizona, it's 100 plus every day.
it's kind of
so
needed.
It's 100% needed.
Kind of needed.
Yeah.
Kind of
It's-
needed.
I don't know how people do it without like hard tops or soft tops and just straight up in there, but I it's not for me. I don't know. It has to be fixed. But luckily, it's under
You
warranty
mean the
somehow.
sunshade just doesn't do it?
I keep a hard top. I'm the
Yeah.
odd person out that drives a hard top on off roading and all the crazy stuff with the hard top, and everybody's like, "You shouldn't do that." I'm like, "Well, I'm gonna do it anyway." So
Well, it's like
Yeah, I
I
don't
mean,
think
it's
you should do that.
Arizona. You put your hard top on in the summer, take it off in the winter, and it works out well. And then everybody else just does the opposite.
yeah,
So there you go.
Don't feel bad. I'm in the middle ground here in Colorado, so I have the Sunrider top because I need to have a hard top and I want a soft top. So my Jeep is just the Jeep of compromises. Well, what is your Jeep? Let's talk about your build first then. What are you running?
Okay, so it's a 2018 Jeep Wrangler JKU. Rubicon. The only thing Rubicon left on it right now is seats. So I bought it.
That's
I bought
right.
it 4 years ago in November, and it was 100% stock. It was used about like 50,000 miles, but it was like highway
Nice.
miles. So it's a JKU, not the
Nice.
JLU, because I like the square body more than the JLUs. No offense. And it's just a simpler thing. And so now I didn't expect it to be as far progressed as it is now, but right now it's on 40s, bead locks, double triangulated rear, 3-link front, 14-inch coilovers all the way around, KC highlights all the way around. Yeah, I don't know everything.
I'm waiting for you to tell me it's on something other than 44.
Yeah, no, not Dana 44s
Okay.
anymore. I got
Good.
Fusion
Okay.
a Fusion 60 front and a
Nice.
Fusion 14 bolt rear. I think it's
Nice.
72 wide. And
Okay.
yeah, that's the main stuff.
I assumed everything was. I assumed that the axles have been swapped when the comment about the Rubicon. The only thing left being the seats, because I get that.
But I will say,
You hope.
I will say though, I did wheel for 2 years on 40s and Dana 44s, but they were like Yukon Chromos, and I kept the Rubicon stock shafts in for a year, and then my stub shaft decided to leak shaft. Then I did the Yukon Chromoly shafts, but then I had no issues. I didn't re-gear it. I ran stock gears for 2 years on
Nice.
40s.
410s on that thing.
Yep.
Nice. Right.
Screaming.
I feel like that was the dangerous part. Yeah, I think that was the part that we probably.
Yeah, but
I mean,
that is the big step, though. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, when you're talking about $8,000, 10
Yep.
grand for a set of axles, man, that's the step. Like, I can buy well, I mean, heck, even I know your suspension was still about 8.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's I mean, those are the two big steps. Like, you can't take them all at once, so you got to do something.
It was crazy because it was during COVID. So at that time, I had a house at the time, and that's when the market went up. And I actually bought junkyard axles that I was going to build in the garage and like do it yourself and do it with some friends that were going to like show me how. And I was going to watch a whole bunch of YouTube videos and take it on as like a year project. But then it came to a point where I was just like, well, I saw how much my house was worth, and I'm like, all right, we're just going to sell it. So I sold the house, and then I was just like, well, since I'm doing all right, let's just go ahead and buy the axles, because now I live in an apartment complex now, but I couldn't build it in the apartment complex. It couldn't be grinding and all the stuff that would go down in the garage. So I just, it just made more sense.
You could, but it's just not for very long. Yeah.
So this bad boy just sits in the apartment community parking lot, like next to everything else, or?
No, it's in the garage. I have a 2-car garage in the apartment complex.
Okay.
So it's tucked away.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's a good call. You don't really want to be on Instagram, and I have a hard enough time in my nice neighborhood putting like my Jeep outside.
I like it though, because then people they'll say, "Are you the guy with the Jeep?" I'm like, "Oh, which one?" I was just like, "They're like the white one with the gold rims." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's me." It's like, "Oh, okay, nice Jeep." And I'm like, there is somebody in my complex though that has. It's like an old school military 6x6, and it's full overland down, and it's huge.
Wow.
It's like the full like overland. Like if you watch, I don't know if you remember the movie Tremors, Burt Gummer, that 6x6 he used to drive.
Yeah.
He has that, and he brings it out, and he'll leave it out, and he'll go on like adventures. But yeah,
I saw the Apocalypse 6x6 here in Colorado last weekend, actually.
Oh really?
Yeah.
How
It was
big
on a trail of all places. Go ahead, Ryan.
How big are the garages in your apartment complex?
So my Jeep fits in there by 3 inches, about 2 to 3 inches, depending on what's going on. So it's close. I think my Jeep is 7. What is it? I'm 6 foot, so it's about 7'9", and the garage is 8. So I have to go into it slow. If I bump it, it tops it. So yeah. It's close.
Don't do that.
It's close.
Mm-hmm.
What motor are you running in?
Still the stock 3.6.
Okay.
So still holding strong. I think it has about 85,000 miles on it, but it's still holding up. So we're going to try to push to see how far we can get into it.
You run that until that engine blows up.
Yep.
You see, that's the problem. That's the theory. Like, I'm going to just run a 3.8 and a 3.6 till it blows up, even though they suck. Especially my 3.8 sucks horribly. But they don't blow up. Like you can't get them to blow up.
Yeah, it's hard to
they
grenade
just-
them
Yeah, and so
if you take care of them. Yeah.
yeah, well, this is true. I can run the oil out of it. And my wife's gonna be like, "What happened so quickly?" I forgot to
mean,
put the oil plug back in.
As long
That's
as she
what
doesn't know the right people to ask the questions of them,
Yeah.
I think you're fine.
It's only funny you say about
Yeah.
It's only funny you saying about blown up because before it was in the shop last month, because it was for something else, and it was because I heard a weird ticking. So I was just like, I didn't think it drove fine, and then they go and take a stethoscope inside, and they're like, your lifters are shot. I'm like, oh okay. So then they showed me a quote, but then like, we'll go see if our warranty covers it. So the warranty covered it because I got an extended warranty for up to 100,000 miles or 3 years. So it covered it, and they threw in a new camshaft in it too. So I'm like, all right, whatever you guys want to do, you
I'm
guys
kind
can.
of surprised.
Yeah, you guys can do whatever you guys want if it's covered. So
Like I'm really surprised they did that one on 40s. Like I have enough of a fear with 35s. I'm coming back and complaining to me about that lifetime from Mopar.
and I'm just knocking on wood every time they say it's covered. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, just nod and smile and leave. Sign the paperwork and go. This is a
I'm
done
just saying-
transaction.
I was gonna say my tick's gotten worse. I changed my oil a week ago, and it all of a sudden gotten worse. And I'm like, ah, geez.
Well, yeah, it
Uh,
rejects clean and it doesn't like it.
What you
Especially,
do?
I have an 08 JKU.
Okay.
So running, and I'm still running a 44 front on 40s.
You've got
however,
that first generation JK.
Yeah, I got. I still got the steel knuckle. So
Okay.
I'm not running something. I'm not running them new knuckles. But I run a 60 in the rear, RCBs in the front. She'll hold. I'm not worried about it.
That's
If
dope.
she doesn't, then I
She'll
get a 60. She'll hold.
Uh,
Then I get a 60 for the front.
don't
So-
listen to him, Dom. He shouldn't. Don't take any mechanical advice from him.
They'll hold. be just fine.
I'm gonna call you Captain Three Bolts. Is what I'm gonna call you.
That's perfect.
Yep. All right.
As long as it holds
So,
together.
Dom,
That's right.
well, that's Jesus. Don't encourage him.
That's why you take trailers. All you have to do is back
Not
to the
always
trailer.
can afford the F-150 and the trailer to go with it, or the F-350 and the trailer to go with it.
There's the
We'll get
Enterprise rent a truck right down the road.
Oh,
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I feel they're always looking for ways to deny me. Anyway, so Dom, let's take a step back then.
Yeah.
How did you? I was just kind of looking through your stuff. You started out with side by sides. Now you're with with 40-inch tires on a Jeep. So how did we get there? Like, where did you get your start at for like off-roading in general?
So I had a family friend that they took us out to Agatia Walls when we were like, I think it was like freshman year or sophomore year of high school. And they had assortment of vehicles. So there was like 5 different families. One of them had a Hummer, one of them had a Samurai, one of them had a Jeep, and someone else had a side-by-sides. So we went out there and we were just off-roading. That was my first time ever being introduced to that. And then after that, my parents and us, we got hooked on it. So we bought 2 side-by-sides in high school. And I've always wanted a Jeep because after having side-by-sides, we'd always have to trailer everything. And you can't drive it in California on the street. Arizona, it's a little bit different. But it was just like it would always stay in the garage. So it would only come out maybe like once or twice a month when I see friends who have Jeeps and they're like, oh, I'm just going to go drive it to a trailer and come right back. Or go up to Big Bear. Or if you go up to Big Bear, you have to take the whole trailer and 2 side-by-sides. It's about a 24-foot trailer and you need F-250, F-350 to get up
Place
the
to
hill.
park it. And,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So ever since then, I've always just wanted a Jeep. So after I became an adult, saved up some money, and during COVID, found a Jeep that I liked and decided to pull the trigger, and the rest is history, basically. And then
And COVID was dangerous for those of us that had any money at that time.
it was, but it was just like, since I was inside so much during COVID, I always watched like videos of like Trail Recon and like all of their off-road like a way of life and like all the other off-road videos, like even still till now. So I've always watched it, and then that was the one thing that I would see on my timeline where like people are still off-roading during COVID. So when I bought it, I just went on to the app called Meetup, and then I found like a couple different off-road groups, and I went to 2 different ones, and then one I just stuck with for about a couple months, and then started making all these friends, and we just go out every weekend because everybody's inside.
So it went from meetup to what, $30,000 add-ons to your Jeep? Yeah, it's sweet.
I don't think we need to put a price
It's like
tag on him, Ryan.
Yeah,
I don't think we got to be ballparking it. I
Like-
don't think he has anybody to be accountable to.
I mean, like the worst tender ad ever.
I can give a rough
Like,
estimate.
Jiminy
I mean,
Cricket.
I know what it is now. It was kind of
Oh, if you don't know the price tag in your head, what you need to sell your Jeep for today, then you haven't put
To
enough
make
money
ends
into
meet.
it. Yeah, you haven't
Yeah.
put enough money into it.
No, yeah,
You need to go back and spend another $5,000.
Yeah, it was so upwards of 40, but yeah, it was last year was a busy year. It was just like, I don't know, yeah, it was, yeah.
Well, there's a breakover point when you do so many things to it. You've all of a sudden you're faced with this bill. You're just like, well, look at all this shit that I have to do now because of all of the stuff that I just agreed to do. Ah, damn it! And then the next thing you know,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I've got a credit card bill.
Yeah. That's basically what happens. And then especially when you're wheeling with, I mean, when you have a new Jeep or you're even, I mean, when I was on 37s and Dana 44s, when I'm wheeling with, I mean, some of my now closest friends who I consider family, everybody's on tons and 40s, and you go to Trail Hero for the first time and you thought you're doing big things on 37s and 44, and you go to Trail Hero, you're just like, oh, all right, I guess this is, all right.
I'll just
Don't
stay
feel
back
bad,
here.
Dom.
Yeah, I'm just going to be humble.
I'm
You know,
just
it's
sitting
just
back
like,
in the line. Just be over here.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I don't want you to ever feel bad, Dom. When the minute that you go to Trail Hero, because I'm planning on going there this year, I want you to find me, and then you can look at my Jeep and then feel better about yourself because I'm going to still be there with my 35s and my 2.5-inch lift because I'm bound by that Mopar warranty that I'm damned I'm going to hold on to for forever.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
It was fun. I mean, I definitely, I mean, it was just funny though. It was like, I just never like been to like a big, like Trail Hero. I forgot, it was like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I went for the first time. So like, I thought Arizona, like I knew everybody was on 35s, 37s. Some people had tons, some people had 40s. But when you go to Trail Hero, it's like everybody. And I'm just like, ORIs, coilovers, V8s. I'm like, all right, this is great. I mean, it was still
Normal.
fun.
Yeah.
Still fun.
Yeah. I think and we've talked about it before. We'll talk about it again. There is a level where you get to tires so big that certain trails just aren't.
Yes.
And it's not that they're not fun anymore. They're just not challenging anymore, and it doesn't make them as interesting. And there's part of me that I enjoy the fact that certain trails will always be difficult in that yellow Jeep that I have, just because of the way I can't take it past that.
Yeah, and I had the same when I had a TJ with 33s, 44 rear, 30 front, 33-inch tires, locked, 456 gears. Every time I went out, I felt accomplished. Because it was like you took this little thing and just went wheeling with the guys with 40s and 1-ton.
Yep.
And I may have not done every obstacle you did, but I'm still there at the end of the day. And that to me was the accomplishment. Now that I'm running 40s, it's like if you're not, the minute you slip up, it's like, oh, well, crap. Why are you slipping up? Like, oh, shoot. If I were to slip up in the TJ, it'd be like, oh, man, he's a little TJ. Sweet. I got away with it. Okay. Yeah. But now you're trying to roll with the big dogs, and it's like, no, you can't slip up now. Now it's like, and I don't feel accomplished every time I go out. I don't feel like it's that challenging and hard. I'm like, okay, great. I drove down a road. Congratulations. So, yeah.
I'm always looking for the back road, so you know me, I'm different.
Yeah. I think the fantasy of 40s, tons, 14 bolts is one thing. The reality is probably not as we make it out to be.
It's a lot of money and it's a lot of maintenance.
Yeah. Dana 44, it's just like, oh, I just got to do some little stuff, and if you break some, it's a small fix.
Sweet.
And it's just like you could just send it. Now when you all of a sudden you're invested, you got tons, 40s, steering, you're just like, ooh, I don't know if I want to. I know what might break, and I don't know if I want to do it right now.
Do you think you make more of those decisions now? Are you a little more hesitant because that price tag is is where it is?
I'm hesitant, or I'm always been hesitant because I always, even when it's cold outside, I always usually run a hard top. If you see me with no top on, it's a rare occasion, like maybe once or twice a year. So like I'm always, I know some people are okay with getting body damage. I try to not get as much, just for me, because I feel like it's a little bit harder just to not try to touch things. I mean, but now this last year I've been touching it a lot more. But yeah, so I try to be hesitant. I'm just like, I just don't feel like breaking. I'd rather just get off the trail and be able to wheel with French for the next couple of days and not have to worry
You still
about.
gotta get it home, right?
Exactly.
Like you're not rolling a trailer.
No.
Yeah.
So I got to be careful when
Which
it's
goes back
trips.
to the purpose of why you started doing it in the first place, right? Because you wanted to be able to drive it from place to place and pull off on those side
Yep.
roads.
But I do
Yeah.
feel like
All right.
like Ryan was
By
saying.
the way,
Oh.
he's like one more modification away from a trailer. By the way,
It's only funny because I'm actually looking at trailers and a truck.
yeah.
So,
See, Belgian.
so we're right on track.
Yeah. So you're in the process, sir. Now you got to get a truck to haul the trailer. It's a whole thing. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
it's a big to do. I'm not opposed to it though. I'm getting older, and I think that just having a cushier vehicle would be
Mhm.
nice, but
I agree.
because
So
the Jeep
what-
is just not.
So, Dom, what made you choose the parts you chose? Where was your influence? And
So
I mean, because I'm looking at your pictures. You got Kings on it now, and of course, the question is Kings over, what is it, ROIs or what? Oh, yeah, those things.
So yeah, I mean,
Those things.
no, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
So
I
what?
just thought- Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess my question was, you talk about steering components, axles, rims, tires. What was your main, source of delineating what you wanted?
It was a lot from like close friends, like the people I wheel with, like Oscar and Cord and a couple other friends. But also just seeing vehicles perform and kind of the commonalities that I've seen of like, I guess, Jeeps or rigs that have performed well. Like, for instance, like Fusion axles, like I've always, every time I've seen them, like, it's only funny because I was DMing them, I think it was a year ago. And I DM'd when I first got my Jeep saying, hey, one day, because they had this group photo that had like, it was like they were in Moab and there was like a group of like 6 Jeeps and it was like dope. And it was like a great photo. I was like, maybe one day I'm gonna get Fusion axles. So then I DM'd them and screenshotted that. I was like, I said this to you guys 3 years ago and now it's like a few things. So like,
Yeah.
I've always just, I don't know. There's just some stuff I've always kind of like kept on like a parts list of things that I've liked and just that, for example. And then for coilovers, I don't know. I feel like I've seen people have ORIs and I've seen people have Kings. And I just like the fact that if I do blow a coilover, I can rebuild it and I can still wheel it. Where if I get an ORI and something happens, that's pretty much going to be my
done.
day. And I mean, nothing against, I mean, they perform well both ways, but I don't know. I just as always have seen Kings. So I was just like, well, it's my first time building a full Jeep to this scale. I mean, I'm going to learn by every part that I get on things I do like and things I don't like. So I'm just going to go with that. So that's kind of how it all transpired with everything. It's basically trial and error because I can only learn so much from seeing other people use the stuff. But now, once you have a year or two of really seeing like, hey, I do like, or hey, you know what, I may want to go this route. And I feel like from everybody that I speak to that has rigs, that's how they've built their rigs, or this like their second build. And the reason why they did this because their first build, oh, I did this, but I don't like it as much. So I feel like it's just trial and error.
It's a tale as old as time at this point.
Yeah. Was there
Yeah.
a Jeep that when you first got into it that you were like, I want a Jeep like that? I think for me, me was when I had a red TJ. So mine was the old 98 or 2000 Skyjacker TJ that they had sitting on 37s back in the day. That thing was, I had a model Jeep of that on my dresser because like that's the Jeep I wanted. Of course, now I got kids and a 4-door. But whatever. Was there a Jeep out there that you were like, that's what I want?
The only ones that really pop into mind, just because I watched them, were so much would be Trail Recon's his JKU, the silver one. So I've seen that since he's first started building it. And then I forgot the guy's name. He's out of San Diego and he has like a Jeep page out there. He has I think it's black with blue interior. It's like a fix-it page. It's on YouTube. He's really popular.
Okay.
I forgot his name
Leaping
though.
Jeep guy?
Yeah. He works on a couple different cars, but his main thing was Jeeps, and now he does I forgot what his YouTube's page. I'm sorry I forgot it though, but no, I feel like Way of Life just because when I first started, or not Way of Life, Trail Recon silver one, but then after I started actually wheeling my own, then it became seeing all these rigs with this crazy flex and crazy suspension. So it's kind of like picking little bits and pieces of people's Jeeps and then having it in my head and then making it to what it looks like now, basically.
Was there a reason for? Oh, sorry. Was there a reason for 4-door over 2-door?
I don't like anything. No offense to anybody out there who has two doors. I don't like two doors. No, I always just like.
All right, this interview's
You
over.
don't-
We're
you don't
done.
piss JD off.
Done.
now.
For
Come
my
on.
thing
We're done.
For my thing is, I've always just
He's a sensitive guy, man. Dom, you got to be careful with him, buddy.
Well, mine's because it's just like I'm single, so I'm like I always like four doors because if I ever have kids or have a wife, I want to be able to not have to like, oh, if I have this, then hey, they can't come, and there's more space. I always like that, so I don't even like cars that are two doors. So I like
Fair
more
enough.
room. So I mean, if I could wheel an excursion, I get an excursion. To be honest with you, but that's a tale for a different.
I'm on the other end, man. I don't have kids, and I don't want more than my passenger in the vehicle with me. So
Yeah.
I mean, different goals, right?
Yeah, that's what I said. I don't want to offend anybody.
All right. I'll
I'm
let it
just saying,
slide.
see JD's wife in his Jeep a lot. So it's more his
Well,
dog.
she is. It's just that the glare is there, and she manages to hide herself. It's a whole thing when I'm taking pictures. Let me tell you. Dom, was that your first choice? I mean, obviously the four door, you're looking for that. Was that your first choice in color and color combo, or was that a
No, yeah,
happenstance?
No, any Jeep that you ever see or any car or anything that I have, it'll always be white. Like I've had black cars and I hate scratches. And Arizona is famous for pinstripes. And like if you have a black car or a black Jeep out here, you see every little scratch and that bothers me. So white, I have a lot of scratches on the Jeep, but unless it's like a deep scratch, you can't see it. You can if it's like the light, but it doesn't bother me as much.
Oh yeah, I get away with a lot with the yellow.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I laugh so hard is because I got another buddy who has the same mentality, but yet I will not drive anything that's not black. And it's like we give each other so much crap. It's funny.
I fall an ass backwards into every color vehicle I've ever had. So that's how it's an interesting panel of people we got here tonight, fellas.
Right.
That's amazing. To be fair though, that's the only color combination that I like with the white paint is the white and the gold. There's another guy who's got a two door out there, and it's such a good looking build. And I hate gold, like I'm not a huge fan of it, but in that context, it really comes out well. And Golden Child's an awesome name for a Jeep.
Thank you.
Especially considering how much you spent on it. Now that we know,
It definitely fits the name now. I'm thinking about that. I never really thought about that.
Sure as hell does. Yeah, It's trying to live up to it, apparently.
Like if you can roll down a road and look at a Jeep and be like, oh, yeah, that's that much. That again, you haven't spent that much. You haven't stuck your finger in the socket hard enough, and you need to put it back in there. So
That's a true statement, though. So all of these pieces of equipment that you purchased for your Jeep over the years, what do you think is your the best piece of equipment, the most value that you've gotten for your dollar? Is it the axles? Is it the tires? Is it the coilovers?
I'm gonna go with the axles are still just my favorite thing because sometimes I'll just like sit and like have my Jeep parked and like just the tube itself and just looking at how stout and wide it looks, like it just I feel like it sets the tone for everything, and then when it's flexed out, it's just like you see this big tube at a weird angle just going like that. And I don't know. I feel like that's been my favorite purchase, although it's probably the most expensive. But the other thing that's probably a close second is I know it's a minor thing, but having hydro assist, it's like a game changer for me. So I gotta say those are probably two of my I mean the coilovers and suspension, everything else is great, but like being able to steer in certain situations is just
it's helpful.
Yeah, it's just beyond helpful. I remember having like the 37s, which is no assist, and like getting always bound up and making 50 turns to try to get out of an obstacle and possibly breaking steering, but I didn't break it yet. But yeah, so yeah,
just the physical exertion.
Yes.
Like this was the first time. So I recently had an accident and I had to upgrade the axle. And I didn't have to upgrade the axle. I upgraded the axle. I upgraded a bunch of the steering components. No one tells you before you do that at first, as soon as you start adding to the steering, how much rougher it gets.
Yep.
And I'm a wheeler. I'll go out for 8-10 hours. And the last couple times I've gone out, I get home and my chest is just on fire because it's just spent that whole day moving this whole thing. And I'm just like, this is why people get hydro assist now. And now you are on the avalanche of money.
yeah.
Yes. when I put my when I test drove my JKU before I bought it from the guy, I mean he didn't have hydro on it, and I knew. I locked it, made sure everything worked, and you knew that was the first thing you were purchasing.
Yep.
And I figured I'd get away with it for one wheeling trip. No, I got on a rock ledge, backed up, and my buddy's like, "Nope, stop, you're leaking, we're done." And drove it home, limped it home, and then first thing I bought was Hydro Assist. You just can't turn a 40 on that power steering.
Yeah.
And you can't do it. So
Even
go-
on the
You can barely
37
turn
either.
35s.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredible. Did you go PSC or?
So I did the PSC route, but it's a tap box. So I have the JKU, so the steel box, so
Okay.
I can tap it. So I just did the tap. So I haven't done the big bore box, but I've had
No.
it for 3 years now. And
Yeah.
so I saved myself some money on that. So I'll probably just get another spare stock box and just pour it and just carry it around if I ever need it. But other than that, like it has enough power or enough pressure to kind of get out of all the things I needed to. So
Did you put anything else on it besides the rim, or no?
the RAM and the
Just the ram in the
intercooler,
box.
RAM
you put
intercooler,
the
and then
intercooler
just
on
the
it.
lines.
Okay. You didn't do a reserve.
No.
Reserve power. Okay. Yeah. No. So I ended up going even. When you have kids, you make even more cheaper decisions. I went with the redneck ram, which was $1,000
Okay.
if you sent back your steering box.
Okay.
And they sent you a ported one. So, and that thing's worked great so far. I haven't had a problem. I don't have an intercooler, and it's worked great so far. But I guess it's always the concern if I'm gonna one full day of wheeling hard, am I gonna blow it out? But it hasn't blown out yet, and I put it through its paces so far. So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
and it was the question between doing the hydro. You do the full set, or is it needed? Really, is really the question. Or can your stock power steering pump keep up with what it needs to do?
I
For
think
the
it
most
comes
part,
down to
the
whether or not
answer is
they
yes.
can
Yeah.
keep up with it.
Yeah. So what's your favorite? Where have you wheeled, and what's your favorite trail so far?
So I've wheeled up in Big Bear a little bit. I've been to Johnson Valley for KOH. I haven't done Johnson Valley. Hopefully I knock that out. Maybe end of this year, next year when it's a lot cooler out because I'm not going right now. It's too hot. All over Arizona. What else? There's Kingman, Phoenix, New Mexico, Las Cruces, Sand Hollow, Moab. I think that's a majority of all the wheeling there. But my favorite area to go, it's still got to be Sand Hollow for me. That's my favorite.
I mean, it helps to live in Phoenix.
Yeah.
I mean,
You got a hell of a launching point, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's all right there. What? Yeah.
It's about
Give it 300.
It's about 6 hours north,
Yeah.
depending on how fast you're going.
Yeah. I was gonna say, give it 5 hour radius. You can be anywhere you want to be.
Yes.
I
You
mean,
could probably draw, and you could probably draw a straight line from what is it? I can't say that now. The Acatella SRV SVRA
what's that?
Acatella
Never.
Wells.
Akatia Wells?
Akatia Wells. There it is.
I
Good
haven't
Lord. Yeah,
I
see.
haven't been there in the Jeep yet, but that's only, I think, like 2 or 3 hours away. So I need to go.
Well, I feel like you got to go home for that one. Yeah, like if you got to go back to where it started, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just never seen a Jeep. Well, it's a lot of sand stuff out there, but I don't know. Take it back. Yeah, I think I do because I've never really, we only did a small section of it. And now since the Jeep is out, my Jeep is now, it can do. Yeah. So I guess you're right. I got to plan a trip out there.
Well, I feel like if there's a Jeep broken. They're not broken, but he's trying to be. Yeah.
All right. Yep. It's definitely be on the to-do list, and that's not that far. It's on the way to California. So
There you go, man. I feel like if you like Sand Hollow, that's probably why. Like, if that's what your first experience was, and kind of like with the off-roading, like that's just a big open OHV area.
I was gonna say, is that the place they always have them going through the small canyons?
that's
Yeah,
There's
looks
always
like
a
it.
shot-
what is that place
there's
called?
always a
It's
shot of like a.
Well, they're not really clear about where they're at in the park here.
No.
Yeah, this is just some random because we have. Let's see here. I was looking this up before we got on the show, because I was just trying to see if Trails Off Road had some of the write ups that we do. We have some of those. So yeah, it's a lot of through canyons and at least, and these are the trails like that are official, right? Or not official, but are actually roads, not necessarily part of the open OHV area. So yeah. I need to just hit an open area like Sand Hollow or something like that. I just haven't done it yet, and I really would like to do it just for the fun of it.
I just like it for the fact that whenever you go to Sand Hollow, like all the trails and everything is in like one area. So you don't have to go like, I guess to give an example, if you go to Moab, there's trails in Moab and there's trails south and north, but you're going to do like a good hour to get to where you got to go. But San Holo, it's like there's one entrance or two entrances for the park, but they're both in the same area. But you can go to every single trail that takes about 5 minutes or 10 minutes to go to that. And it's everything's just there. And then if you want to leave the park, I mean, there's like a Walmart there, and there's like, I mean, the house or Airbnb or hotel, it's there. So it's just everything is there all together. You don't have to go from one end of the city to the next, in a sense.
That's nice. I'm looking forward to it. Are you going to be a trail hero this year?
Yeah, I'll be there from I think it's September 28th or 29th, whatever that Saturday is, until the next Sunday. So we always usually go for the full week.
Oh, you're going to do the whole week?
Yeah.
All right.
So we'll be there. So if you guys are going to be there, you guys have been though, correct?
I have not been. I am going to be this year for at least part of it.
Okay.
And then Ryan, we're just trying to drag him out from South Carolina as much as his wife will let him. So as soon as we figure with enough pressure, we'll get to her eventually.
Yep.
But she's got to like us first.
Yeah, I was going to say May. I think the end of May, we're actually planning a Moab trip. So, I mean, from here to there is an endeavor for sure. I mean, like, how are you going to get it out there? I mean, heck, you got to take 6 days off just to drive it.
That's the big bitch.
2-day drive.
That's the big thing. Probably about a 2.5 day is if you're pushing it.
Oh, that's long. Okay, that's long.
It's a decent.
He's
decent
essentially East Coast. Yeah, he's he's out there.
I got 2.5 hours to Charleston, so it's
that's far.
Yeah. So it's Moab's a ride. So maybe by the end of the year I can push a flight to Utah for Trail Hero, but yeah, we'll see. Definitely not bringing the Jeep. That'll tell you that right now.
Well, luckily, I mean, you get to fly into. You can either fly into, I believe, St. George as a mini airport, or you just fly into Vegas, and then you're just 2 hours out of Vegas.
I'll just rent a Jeep out of Vegas.
Out of Vegas.
Bring it out there and see what happens.
Yep.
I mean, that's not a terrible idea, man. I'm telling you.
Of course, I would never take rental vehicle off road.
No, I would never tell you that as long as nobody finds out what you do with your Turo rental, then no one needs to know what happened with your Turo rental. Yeah, which is the only way you're going to get a lifted Jeep, by the way.
That's right.
So
they have some out there.
We're not.
However,
I know they do.
I did take a. What did we get? A Malibu? I took it about halfway up Engineer Pass. So that was cool.
Oh, you're one of those people. Okay,
yeah, it was
good
awesome.
job. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talk about you a lot.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
well,
I just want you to, as long as you're aware.
Of course, I knew the tow truck guy, so I'd give myself out. So it
sounds like a Matt's off-road recovery mission.
Somebody. Yeah,
like for real.
I knew the guy to get me out if I ever got, but no. My wife had never seen an avalanche before, so we had to go up till we found it.
Nice.
So, yeah.
All right.
That rental car made it back.
Tom, have you ever taken anything stupid into a Sand Hollow or into a Colorado mountain pass?
No, we did take. No, not there. But I forgot. What did we have? I think we took when we went to Lake. We went to Lake Havasu, and if you go to Lake Havasu,
all great stories start with.
All good stories start with we went to Lake Havasu.
So we went to Lake Havasu, and my parents have an F-150, and we went to the other little island, and there's like the little where you basically go onto the dirt and you can kind of pull your vehicle onto like the shoreline. Well, we did that, and then when we were leaving, I guess we hit some soft dirt, and then it's a two-wheel drive truck, so we basically dug it in, and then my parents had their Jeep, but they made it all the way back to the Airbnb because they thought we were behind them. So we called them, was like, "Hey, can you come?" And that was the first time them testing out their winch on their Jeep, and we pulled the truck out. So only thing like that, but nothing crazy like rentals now.
At least they had a winch. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't have any stories I'm willing to tell on the air, so there we are.
So, Dom, give me your biggest break or recovery story beyond that one.
Break on myself or for someone else?
Broken any? Yeah.
Yeah, break on you or break on you. Because I'll ask other people about their break.
Break on me is I had this was when I had 30 set. No, I think I had 40s in Dana 44, and it was this
course.
trail. It was this trail that we did. It's called, I forgot what the trail was called, but basically the trail is like about a half mile. There's basically one obstacle there. It's a giant waterfall, but I guess we didn't, and it's only one way in. Like you have to go forward. Like it's so tight that you can't turn around. And so when we went in, there's another trail next door to it that's a level up from that trail that has a bigger waterfall. So we went in the wrong one. And so
Sweet.
everybody, basically, except for a buggy, made it up by itself. Everybody else had to use like a full winch. And when I went up, all of a sudden, when the front tires, I was trying to chirp it, and then the passenger front, the stub shaft, just sheared off
Yeah.
perfectly. And then we had to fix that and get the Jeep up the. It was like about like a 15-foot straight up waterfall. It was big. And then so that
You
was
know
about,
they make an app to stay on the right trail. There's an app for that. Yeah,
There's a couple
yeah.
of them.
Yeah, there's
I wasn't the
There's a
trail
few
leader,
apps
so
that
I
are
was just following in, thinking, I'm like
Yeah.
fourth one back, and then
We've
all
all
of a
been
sudden
there too.
I see this wall. I'm like
This
looking
is
at
the right one.
everybody else is on tons, coilovers. I'm like, I have a metal club.
They all know what they're doing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm definitely not going to clear this. So then it was full skid plate and all the way up and hoisted. The winch worked, and the Jeep shorted out because the winch wasn't. Yeah, so we had to get another winch on the Jeep to pull it all the way up. But yeah, so that was about it. Oh,
That's a rough day.
yeah, I think that was probably the worst one or the longest. It's nothing been crazy, thankfully, knock on wood. But yeah,
That's not the worst story we've heard.
no,
Or
I know
been
other
part of.
stories that are way worse.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no
yeah,
kidding.
everybody loves standing by and watch somebody else break.
Yeah, it's
Samesies.
it's that
Yeah.
time when you start a trail at 8 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and then something happens at 2, and you have to go back in town to get parts, and then get them off the mountain by like 1 or 2 in the morning or 12, or the next day,
All right.
depending on what you want to do.
So
All
what?
right.
So give me your. He talked about Sand Hollow. What is your favorite trail in Moab to run?
In Moab, I'd say Pritchett. I want to run.
Really?
I like Pritchett. Pritchett is good.
Everybody breaks something on Pritchett. I couldn't.
Well, I was gonna
I'm
say,
really surprised.
When he was talking about that, that was the first thing that came to my mind. I was like, you go in at 8, somebody breaks something about 2, it's Pritchett for you right there, because and then your hour and a half drive all the way around. Yeah,
I guess on our trip, it was pretty smooth. Like no one broke. There was 2 people that broke. One of the, I guess, the more, if you know who Bronco Buster is.
Mm-hmm.
Bronco
Seen him,
Buster.
yep.
So the blue one, before he did the last rollover, where like rolled over on that new hardtop thing that he has, he rolled it that first time, and we were there pulling up when he did that, where he was trying to do what is that hill that it's called? It's the one where either you're off camber and you're turning driveway and really off camber, or you have to send it up the mountain. And
yeah.
there's 2
It's
big
the one
ledges.
that Randy. Yeah.
Rocker Knocker.
Yeah, that. So it's where he did on
Yeah.
that. So in essence, he flipped it over, drained the oil, and did everything. But other than that, it was a pretty good day. There wasn't anything crazy. All the other trails were a lot longer because how many miles there are on the trails.
I'm not gonna lie, Pritchett's one of those ones that I have horror stories of days that just would never end. But then
It's just not high on my
stories
list.
about that are just great. I mean, the trail offers absolutely everything.
Yeah,
But
100%
if you're
agree.
if you're gonna do it, you better commit to everything you do.
Yes.
Do not slack on anything. Because even the last a mile, what's to the bottom of that valley to the top of the wall? It's probably a mile, half a mile, maybe not even
Yep.
that long.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just full commitment and focus that entire way.
Yeah,
'Cause it's-
100%.
Yeah, and of course it's anticlimactic because then you have that ridiculous ride out of there that is just obnoxious.
Well, there's a lot of trails that have that though.
You're so tired, and all you're doing is
Yeah.
the whole way out. But yeah, I love that trail. It is a blast.
What's left on your bucket list, Dom?
Bucket list right
Trail-wise.
now, if we're talking Moab, I want to do that area of BFE or that Coyote Canyon. But other than that, if it's just anything, I want to do the Rubicon and Fordyce all in 1 week.
And what if money wasn't an object? Like you could wheel anywhere in the world.
I don't know. Like I like it over here. Like I like the West Coast wheeling. It's like more like I don't know, the rocks are they're grippy. You have to choose your line wisely. You don't need a whole bunch of horsepower on it. Where like I have friends on the East Coast and it's a lot of sand and like the mud and all that. And I don't like
It's a lot of send it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Come on, Dom. Let's go. Come on. Come on,
He doesn't want to break. He doesn't want to break stuff. We just talked
He's got
about it.
60s. I got 44 in the front. Come on, let's go. Come on.
It doesn't mean he wants to break it.
Should be just fine.
I feel like
Get that trailer.
fine.
Let's go.
I mean, I would definitely want to come out there 1 year and then start wheeling out there on the East Coast. But I'd probably say, I don't know. There's anything on the, I want to go to Colorado. Some of the trails over there look amazing. But yeah, that's probably if it was a bucket list, it'd be either somewhere in Colorado or Rubicon or Fordyce that I haven't hit yet.
You're welcome to Colorado, man. Like I'm right here along the Front Range. We'll take you some cool places. There's a lot.
Okay.
You can do pretty much everything with the rig you got too. So you're good.
All right.
Yeah. The
All right.
Rubicon is definitely a trail that
Yeah.
I think
I'm starting to feel like we should just organize a trip, Brian. Like we should, sometime 2026, we'll do a trailhead trip to the
Yeah, I was
Rubicon.
gonna say don't make it next year.
No, I'm
Right?
not trying to be silly about it. Yeah, I'm aware of the problem. Trust me.
Yeah.
Well, I got 2 questions left for you.
Okay.
And let's see here. And it's 2 sides of the same coin. And I like asking this question because we're all Instagram people.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there is, we kind of talked about it before we got on the air a little bit. The question is twofold. And the first side of it is what is wrong, or what do you think is not going well within our social media circle? So is it the advertisers or is it the promotion? What is it? And what's going right? Like what side of that is good? Because I feel like we have both pieces of that going on right now. And you don't have to get in specifics. We don't have to talk about controversies. I don't want to talk about controversies.
Are we just talking about like on
Do it.
Instagram or like
No, don't do
Facebook?
it.
Are we talking about like just Instagram and Facebook itself? Or are we talking
Social
about
media
like
in general.
I don't know. I've enjoyed it because like my Instagram account, like I built it like since it was like 200 followers. So like I've just been built it by just having fun and just I enjoy like finding certain audios that I want to make a reel out of and stuff like that. So when it comes to that, like I don't have high expectations. I wish that Instagram would invite me back into the real bonus thing where people actually start getting a little bit of money, gas money
Yeah.
here and there. That'd be great.
No kidding.
Influencers, I mean, when it comes to influencers, I don't know. I feel like kind of touches back to where I was saying it before. I mean, with, like whenever you're building a Jeep, I guess we can use the easy analogy of like, let's say if we're talking about, and this isn't slandering any company, but if we're just talking about just a regular set of 37-inch tires, my experience on a 37-inch tire, I might like, let's say if I run it for 2 or 3 years, I have no cuts and it works perfectly for someone else. But I have someone else who does the same thing and they cut 2 or 3 tires, but it was because of a rock that ruined that trip. So it could be a certain instance that was just like, it just happens. So it's kind of difficult to, I would just say like, I don't know, when it's like influencer stuff, it's just like, you have to just try out the parts. I mean, of course you want the good word of whoever you're getting that information from. But at the same time, even if they do give you good information, you still might not have the best of experience. Or you might have even a better experience than them. So it's like, it's like, basically, I just sum it as it's like trial and error. Like my whole build, everything I put on it, it's just like either I'm going to like it or I'm not, and I'm going to learn from it, however that goes. So if I do ever do another build or something else, or I do make a recommendation, like, hey, you know, I do run this, but I'd still, if I was going to redo it, I'd probably do this. And I feel like it's just,
I think sometimes people don't put it in context, right? Like if you're like a rocker, right? Like you like the rock crawling, you like to get up on those weird angles and stuff like that. So your build and the parts that you're trying to put into your build are really geared to that end. And so you're going to have that, the heavier duty suspension and our bigger axles and all that kind of jazz. I'm doing back roads. I'm looking for a better ride. I'm looking for enough articulation, but not too much. And, you know, all those things. So I think a lot of people go in here and they see an Instagram page and it's like, I want all that. And they're like, well, you live in Chicago though. Like you don't need all of that. It's $40,000 worth of debt that you don't need to be in.
Yeah. And then also, I mean, it comes down to, I mean, like an easier example is like how you were saying, like my Jeep is dedicated towards rock crawling. Or if someone wants to build my Jeep, but they say, you know what, but I also want to go to Baja. It's like, well, you might want to get some stiffer stuff, or you might want to change some small components, because if you do everything like mine, I can tell you right now that I would need stiffer springs 100%, because I've hit a couple different whoops inside Sand Hollow and different stuff, and like I've blown out 2 coilovers already and had them
Right.
rebuilt because of it. So now I learned like, oh, okay, maybe I can't go that fast. Where my other friend, he has one that's stiffer springs and he can like hit 50 and cruise.
Yeah. He just has the ride to go with it. So, all right, cool. Well, that's good then. And then anything good going on with social media in general? Just all of it, or is it just a fun playground for you?
I mean, it's just a fun playground. Like, I mean, I've been happy with the people I've been able to partner with on like brands and such, and some of them, I mean, they let me kind of create and do whatever I want. I don't really have like too much of obligations in that. And then I just like, I don't know, I've just always kind of liked how I create my stuff. And I mean, if I could find an audience and like you guys, if you guys have seen my stuff or anybody else out there see my stuff and you enjoy it and you want to give it a like, I mean, I'm happy. But if you don't, I mean, I understand. I'm not going to bend over backward or change my stuff for anybody because I like how I put out my content like this. And it's not for everybody. So I know that, but it's just like, I like it.
As long as you like it, and it shows, right? It'll show if you don't like what you're doing.
Yeah. Another thing, well, that, and then like people give me crap about the Angry Girl. That's another random topic of choice. Like people, like my DMs and comments are crazy. Like they hate it. They're like, I love everything about your Jeep, but that. I'm like, all right.
To each their own.
Whatever.
Do you like it?
I love it. It just, I don't know, feel like it's just character and it's just funny. I just like the people that give me comments in my DMs about it. I just start laughing.
Hey, I used to have angry eyes. I feel it. Don't feel bad about it. Don't. You love your Jeep the way you want to love your Jeep. Go ahead, Ryan.
As long as you don't have the eyelashes.
No, I don't have eyelashes. No eyelashes.
Okay,
No, I feel like anybody in the Jeep community that does that, I think that at least this panel of people can all agree that they should be shunned and they should be rejected from the community.
Yeah,
They drive electric.
All right.
They're driving electric renegades. Is what they're doing.
All right, fine. Softball question then for you, Dom.
Okay.
What's your go-to trail snack, food-wise?
I know that by heart. Go-to trail snack is the M&M minis, like the tube M&Ms, like the M&M minis, and then
Okay.
Cheeto puffs. Not the other ones, like the Cheeto
Oh, you
puffs.
gotta do the puffs. Yeah, you gotta do the
Yeah.
air. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's
That's a messy combination for the trail, man.
and then you got to get a Coke to swig it all down. But yeah, that's my
right.
thing. Every time you see me on a trail, if you catch me in the beginning, you'll see it'll be in my cooler. Like I never, it's the gas station ritual.
It's
Love
the
it.
12-year-old ritual is what it is. That's yeah. I'm not knocking it at all. I think it's road trip rules when you go wheeling, man.
What's yours?
Tell me somebody that doesn't have a 12-year-old snack in their Jeep when they go on a trail. Like-
It's probably true. Yeah.
I mean, if you're rolling sushi and you're on your trail, I don't want to wheel with you.
I haven't seen that.
No.
Have you really?
Well,
No, please
I feel like
get out.
by you, sushi would instantly go bad in the heat. So I don't think you should have that anyway.
If you're rolling sushi in the middle of a trail, then you're done. Like it's over. That's dinner. That's after trail. That's not on trail.
What's your
Not so.
snack of choice?
Peach rings all day long.
Peach rings? Oh, the candy peach rings.
I was going to say, don't you question me on peach rings. You better know what peach
I'm
rings
not questioning. I know what they are. Yeah.
Or
I
Bucky's
can't do them as
nuggets.
sugar all day.
The Bucky's
Really?
nuggets. If you haven't had those,
Oh
then
yeah.
those things are fantastic.
I mean, any kind of sugar is good for me.
Yeah,
I try to stick with like the beef jerky though, because otherwise I will just make myself sick. I'll eat whatever sugar I have in the vehicle till it's gone.
Beef jerky is always good.
So yeah, it's more of a, that's not necessarily my go-to. That's my force myself to, if you will.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I will eat all of the sugar.
JD, that's why you're in the low 200s and I'm in the high 200s.
Yeah, well,
So-
that's debatable what time of year it is. All right, well, thanks, Ryan. I'm glad that we got to my weight before the end of the show tonight. I appreciate you.
Cheers. Leave it to
Your
the
ass. All right. All right, well, Dom, before we get out of here, is there anything else that you want to touch on? Anything else you want to share?
No, this has
Okay.
been awesome. I mean, so I can't complain. This has been fun. So I mean, I had fun.
You have any
That's
events?
awesome, man. So,
You have any events that you obviously Trail Hero, but beyond that, is there anything you got on the calendar that you're going to for sure?
I would like to go to Big Bear. I mean, next month or maybe in August. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to just because of just different obligations. But I want to go to Big Bear just to go way up there because I know it's gonna be cooler up there than Arizona. Other than that trail here, and then I would like to hit KOH next year. The last 2 years, I keep having something that pops up that just doesn't allow me to go. So hopefully this year I can get back to it and have some fun out there for a couple of days.
You got to buy the tickets, otherwise something will keep getting in the way. Just got to buy tickets or make the hotel reservation. That's how Trail Heroes happening. Because we were on the air one night. I'm like, I just got to make reservations.
Yeah.
Well, cool, Dom. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah,
you are welcome. You're welcome to come back. We record our live shows right now on Monday nights. You're welcome to come back anytime for that. Now you've been a guest. But thank you very much for coming on the Trailhead, man. We really appreciate it. And if you are listening and want to get check him out, you can check out the Golden Child at Adventures by Night on Instagram, Adventures by Night on YouTube. Are you on anything else like Facebook, or do you really care about any of those?
No, like Facebook and
I don't
Instagram, or just it's easy. You can just find my name, either Dominic Knight, or you can find Adventures by Night, and then you'll see me somehow in there. But yeah, so either one works.
Yeah. I feel like most of our people are savvy enough for that. So
Yeah.
cool. But it will be in the show notes, so don't worry about it. We'll link straight to it.
Thank
All
you.
right, cool. Well, so Dom, thanks very much, man. Hang out for just a second, and cool. Have a great night.